Modern Dadhood. Modern Dadhood podcast.
And we're live. We're live.
Live from here. Live
Anywhere
from
town, USA.
my home office.
All right.
What should we do? A podcast about
This-
dad stuff?
Let's get down to business. Let's talk fatherhood.
Let's get serious and talk fatherhood. This is Modern Dadhood, an ongoing conversation about the joys, challenges, and the general insanity of being a dad in this moment. Whew, it felt good to say that. It felt so good to say that because it's been a little while since we've recorded.
It was aggressive.
I didn't even look at it.
We got to get into our groove here.
We do need to get into our groove. Let's introduce ourselves. My name's Marc Checkett, and I am a modern dad. Oops, I did it again. I'm a dad.
Dink.
I know. I'm a dad to twin boy, almost 5-year-olds. It's we're knocking on the door of the 5th year. I don't know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Who are
Well,
you?
check this out.
Yeah.
Well, my name's Adam Flaherty, but
Yeah.
as of the release of this episode, I'm going to have a kid who's 9 years old.
Oh man, alive.
One kid who's 9, one kid who's almost 6, and I'm gonna be 40 when this episode releases.
Because a fun fact about you is that you, one of your daughters, and your dad,
Yeah,
all share the exact same birthday. How about that?
correct.
How
Correct. Yeah,
about that?
it's a cool thing in our family. It's
very cool.
definitely a special thing, and yeah, it's just one of those things that's fun to tell people.
You're
And
not 40 right now?
Dad's gonna be 81. Yeah,
81. Wow. God bless him.
yeah. No, I'm 39 right now. I'm in my 30s.
What?
And look at you. I could see you. I could see jealousy in your eyes.
I think that made me pull a muscle just hearing that. I think that made
Which
my
one?
back go out, my torso muscle. Good Lord. Well, live it up, man. Live up your 30s.
Oh man, this last week and a half, yeah, I'm going nuts.
Oh, crazy, dude.
Including
Oh, mm-hmm.
Podfest Multimedia Expo.
Podfest.
Actually, nope. I shouldn't say that. You and I will be at Podfest a few days after the episode releases. We'll be down in Orlando.
Make sure you take some Advil. Okay, you're gonna need it, old man.
Yeah, I'm psyched for Podfest. I think we're gonna have a good time. I
know we're gonna have
admittedly
a good
was a little skeptical that you would eventually pull the trigger on it, but
Told
you
you,
did.
man.
Right before we hopped on for our recording, you were booking your flights, and I'm really glad you're going to be there. Because it's a little bit of a safety net for me. If things get awkward, there's always you right there to turn to.
I'll be right there to make things more awkward. You know what's awkward? This conversation. Let's move away from this part of it to the next part.
What's the next part?
Well, I don't know. Today's a special episode because, as our listeners will already know, this is an interview show. And if you're new to the pod, welcome. And this is usually an interview show. We usually have a guest on, and we let them talk smart, and then we listen and we talk dumb back to them. But then, there's some stuff before and after it, but not today. We're not going to do an interview today because, well, this is our first episode of the year. Technically, no.
Yeah.
Yes. Shows how much we've been paying attention.
Well, in fairness, we had a little break there.
Yeah.
Just to sort of, rest and refresh ourselves, but also because I came down with the old coronavirus finally.
Man. You look great, by the way.
Yeah.
I was afraid
Thanks.
because I didn't hear from you for there was 2 solid days where,
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought I might get like an update from you, and then I didn't. And then I started to get a little worried.
There were a couple days where it was pretty bad, but yeah, Sarah and I both tested positive, both got through it, and glad to have it behind me. The girls miraculously stayed healthy the whole
That's
time.
good.
I'm not sure how, but
Yeah, that's good.
but I'll take it. Anyway, we're back, and yeah, we are doing something kind of fun and different today. We're foregoing a guest in this episode so that you and I can talk about some of the things that we are hoping for in 2023 as it pertains to the podcast. But we do have to do the thing where we say, especially to new listeners, that Modern Dadhood can be found on any of the major platforms. So wherever you listen, if it's your first time hearing it, please subscribe wherever you listen. Leave us a quick rating and a review. What else is there? Tell a friend about the show.
Tell your friend about the show. What do you have to lose? Nothing. That's out of the way. All right.
Formalities aside, 2023. I mean, we're 70 some odd episodes in, like coming up on 80 episodes of the show, which I don't know about you, but I'm proud of that. I think that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
We've covered a lot of different topics. We've talked to some amazing people. We've had some really fun and funny conversations. We've had some pretty deep ones, done a lot of reflecting, but I feel like there's still ground to cover. So I guess I would start by asking you this. Are there any topics that, thinking back over the last few years, that have always sort of stuck in your mind as topics that you expected to cover at some point or hoped to cover at some point that we just haven't yet?
Yeah, I think there's a few, actually. In fact, in not our last episode, but the episode before that, we talked to a gentleman by the name of Jermaine Moore. Now, the topic in that episode was awesome. It was all about diversity, inclusion, equity, and how to talk about that and foster that at home and stuff. But he mentioned very briefly that one of his kids was adopted.
Right.
He and his wife adopted, I want to say, a slightly older child too. I can't quite remember the details.
Yeah, maybe middle school or high school aged at the time.
Yeah. But when he mentioned that, I thought to myself, I don't think that we've really covered that topic ever. And I think that's one of those. I mean, our little mission, I would say, part of our mission with this show is to learn about experiences and perspectives that are different than our own, in hopes that we can gain a broader worldview and maybe get a little bit smarter and get better at this thing called dadhood, And that's something I know absolutely nothing about. I don't know that I really know anybody who is themselves adopted. I don't have any friends who are parents who have adopted kids. So I know very little about the family dynamic that might exist there, but I just don't think that's a topic we've really covered at all.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great topic.
All right. I say, let's put that on the list and let's make it happen.
I was thinking it'd be fun to chat with and learn from somebody who has a lot of kids. And I'm not talking like a big, my dad grew up one of seven, this Irish Catholic family. He was
you're talking like
the oldest of seven.
You're talking like Nick Cannon?
I mean, like a dozen kids. Yeah, Nick Cannon.
Talking like Nick Cannon?
I'm talking about like a very high number of kids by today's standards. So like 10 kids or 12 kids or more.
That would be really interesting. I mean, I grew up in a family of 4, and that sounds like a lot.
Right. Like, yeah. Same here. Exactly. Yeah.
It just sounds like an awful lot of work, a lot of years dedicated to the service of others.
Right.
Not that you ever stop that, I suppose, but man, yeah, just keeping it going, child after child for such a long time. I mean, that would be really interesting. Years ago, my wife and I lived in New Jersey. We lived in the great Garden State, New Jersey. And there was a couple that lived down the street. We called them the Army. We would see them walking, and we'd say, "Here comes the Army," because they had.
Did they march in sync with each other?
Well, they had 5 children, which to us, at the time seemed like a lot, but it was.
Yeah.
They had twins, both girls. They wanted a third child, and the dad in particular really wanted to have a boy. So they tried, and they ended up having triplets the second time go around. So they had 5 kids, but only 2 ages.
Did they know that you called them the Army?
No. And if they're out there listening and happen to know who I am and that I'm talking about you, well, now you know. But no, that always struck me as like, wow, that looks, every second of that looks like so much work.
I'd also, we've had a couple of episodes with transgender dads, both male and female. we haven't had an episode where we've had a homosexual dad or a homosexual couple of dads. And I think that would be an awesome chat.
The process of having children. I was just reading an article actually earlier tonight about Neil Patrick Harris, and they have twins, and the route that he and his husband went was surrogacy.
Did they both donate sperm to this?
I don't know.
These are the questions I have.
There's
Mark.
a lot of questions. No, that's what I'm saying. I think I agree with you. I think it would be a good topic to explore.
If the baby comes out with a white lab coat looking like Doogie Howser, MD.
Right. If there's a stethoscope around one of the kids' necks,
then you know who the winner was.
Yeah. I don't, you know what? I don't know the answer to any of these questions, because I don't know.
Well, then
so we
that's
got to
why
find out.
I pose the challenge to you to book Neil Patrick Harris on the podcast.
I'm putting it down. It's in my notes.
Who else? What other people? Any other people that topic aside that you just would love to talk fatherhood with?
Are we going pie in the sky, or are we going? Is this just we're just talking here?
Let's go pastry in the atmosphere.
Dessert in the troposphere. Okay, I got one. How about Ryan Gosling?
It's too handsome, man. I would feel so intimidated. He's too handsome.
But do we become more handsome by proxy?
I don't. Is that how that works? Because I feel like if I make a teaser video and it's side by side, you, me, and Ryan Gosling right in the middle, I'm pretty sure.
We'll never have looked,
fall away. Yeah,
we'll never have looked so terrible. But he,
at least
he seems like such. Obviously, I don't know the guy, right? But in interviews and whatnot, he comes off as being incredibly charming, and he talks about kids kind of a lot.
I think he'd be a great one. When you said Ryan Reynolds popped into my head, and I also think he would be an awesome person to talk to
and to just look at. All right, how about somebody less handsome? You have anybody less handsome?
I'm not going to say this person's less handsome, but I will say it's somebody whose name has come up on the podcast before. But I really want to get him on. It's Josh Gad. I want to get Josh Gad on this podcast so badly.
Yeah, that would be great.
I want his voice to grace this podcast.
Well, the question is, can you get him to sing something when he does eventually? I'm putting this out there in the universe. When he accepts our invitation and we get him on the show, do you think you'll be able to get him to sing something?
If we can get him on the podcast, I can get him to sing something.
Okay.
Don't know what it's going to be, but it'll be something.
Sounds to me like challenge accepted.
We will get Josh Gad on this podcast in 2023.
Okay.
Who else, Mark? Who else you got on your list?
I'm going to go serious for a minute. Do you know Ta-Nehisi Coates?
Ta-Nehisi Coates. I know that name. Who is that?
Ta-Nehisi Coates. He's a journalist and an author. He was a correspondent, or is, for The Atlantic for a while. But he also wrote the book Between the World and Me. Does that sound familiar? Does that ring a bell?
I have not read that book. And no, I don't think I've heard of it.
It's an awesome book. So the whole book is him trying to answer some like really big questions about the world and his place in the world and his son's place in the world. To him, Ta-Nehisi Coates he's a black man. He's from Baltimore, I think. And his life couldn't be more different than our lives. Hearing I listened to the book. The Truth Is Out. I didn't read it. I listened to the book, but it was read by him in the audio version.
What a coward.
I'm just a lying, horrible. No, but I listened to the book, but hearing him talk to his son about his own experiences growing up, and then, it's the same stuff that you and I do and talk about with our kids, but talk about a perspective change, like it couldn't. So there's so many times throughout the book that I felt myself sort of like in passing, as if two cars on a highway going opposite directions, for just that brief moment, sort of feeling like, oh yeah, I get that. I understand that. I feel that same thing. I just feel like it would be a hell of a conversation.
Let's put it out there into the ether. You know who we also should get on the pod? We should get LeVar Burton on.
Oh, man, that would be great.
I feel like there's only a few people. So you had like Bill Cosby, right? Until he disgraced himself. Or, I mean, I guess he was always a piece of shit, but like until he became disgraced because all of this came to light. Yeah. You had him. You had Mr. Rogers. There's only a few. You got Tom Hanks. People that fall into this like America's Dad type category.
Beloved. Yeah.
And I feel like LeVar Burton is one of the only few remaining.
I mean, what do we talk about? Do we just, do we talk about Star Trek the whole time?
I think you start. I think you lead in with Reading Rainbow, right?
Oh, fine. All right.
He's got plenty going on, but he's somebody that I would love to talk about his fatherhood experience. And sort of like when we talked to Emilio Delgado,
I was just thinking the same thing.
He was just a father figure to so many of us who grew up watching Reading Rainbow.
What are some of the stories that he heard, from kids out there who were introduced to so much through something like Reading Rainbow? Or not, no jokes aside, or no jokes aside. That was up my words there. Joking aside, Star Trek too. I mean, he was a fucking pivotal character on that Next Generation series. Totally agree. Get him on the damn pod, would you?
Here's another guy. Speaking of the America's Dad type persona, here's a guy who I can kind of see coming into that sort of stature in another 5 or 10 years. And his name has come up multiple times in this show. Lin-Manuel Miranda is somebody who I still he's probably out of our league. I don't know, something kind of magical about him and something pretty incredible about how his brain works. But he's for sure a special dude.
How about this? How about this one? Let's take a complete 90-degree turn and talk about a topic. How about custody?
Ooh.
How about a situation where you've got somebody who is wanting to be the best parent they can be, the best dad they can be, but they're going through, for whatever reason, something really difficult, or has gone through and is maybe out on the other side of that now and comfortable talking about it. The process, of going through something like that, dealing with it yourself, and having to potentially maybe explain to children through a process,
fighting with somebody who you made your children with over who gets to take care of them and when and how much.
Yeah.
Boy, that's got to be a struggle.
So many, not speaking from experience, obviously, but like must be so many just horribly like sterile, mundane, like line items, to have to talk about and deal with that are all related to these really, really big, important things like your children and your marriage or your divorce, all these things where with these people that you used to be emotionally involved with and now reduced to, paperwork, and like I said, line items and lawyer speak and all of this kind of stuff. How do you maintain throughout that process? A little bit of a,
yeah,
this way.
Yeah. I loved our 2-parter on IVF with your buddy Murph. He was super candid in talking about the process, and obviously they got very lucky and ended up having a daughter who I know you've gotten to spend some time with. There's somebody else who was on my list who I wanted to chat with about his IVF process. He's in a very unique situation as it pertains to IVF, and I had to take him off my list because I booked an interview with him, which I'm psyched about. And I'm not going to reveal who it is because he'll probably be our next guest, but it's going to be a great one. It's going to be an entertaining one, and also just a really interesting one. And I can't wait for our listeners to hear it.
And I can't believe that I didn't know where you were going with that for 95% of it. All right, back to the list of potentials. I'm just going to go right to the top.
Yeah.
Barack Obama. I know.
Is he out of our league though?
I know.
Is he out of our, or is he not? Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not.
He's a busy guy. We'll put it that way. He's a busy dude.
Maybe he's bored.
It's been come on, man. Okay. Oh, Mr. President. Come on. It's been years.
Somebody out there knows him.
Let it ride. Let's get back down to earth. Anybody more practical on your list?
Well, I mean, I always enjoy talking to people who are funny. We've had a number of comedians on the show. I think Pete Holmes would be a great guest. I think.
For sure. What about Birbiglia?
Yeah, I've tried, man. I've tried to get Mike Birbiglia on the show.
But we got to keep putting it out there.
We have had now on a number of people who are sort of in that circle with Mike Birbiglia, with Pete Holmes. I feel like it's just a matter of time before we get Mike Birbiglia on.
He reaches out to us. You think?
Yes,
maybe.
Exactly.
It's a matter of time before he just picks up the phone, gives us a call.
Yeah. Here's another one. Were you ever a Beastie Boys fan growing up? We've talked about Beastie Boys plenty, right?
Was I ever a Beastie Boys?
You had ill communication,
fan?
Right? On cassette. I want to get Mike D on the podcast.
I will say,
I don't know why. I just think he's just so fucking cool. That's all. That's why. There's no reason beyond that.
Michael Lewis Diamond. I'm finding out on Wikipedia.
Well, there we go. Now we have an in because you must know somebody named Lewis, right? You can make some kind of connection there.
Sure. That's the way in. Dear Mike D. Dear Mr. D. Oh, I got another musician. What about Jeff Tweedy? You Wilco
Jeff
fan?
Tweedy would be a good one.
Yeah.
No, I'm not really a Wilco. I can appreciate all of their music. I just never have followed it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he's just been like one of these. He's brilliant. He's been kind of around the world. He's kind of weather beaten. He had, I don't know a ton about his family life, but I know that he had a son,
Spencer. He's a drummer.
Right around that. Yeah, they play together now, actually, which is also super cool. But I remember watching I Am Trying to Break Your Heart, the documentary that was made about the creation of the process of creating and producing Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. The first song I heard from it was the song Heavy Metal Drummer. And I remember watching, the whole point of my story was I remember watching the documentary, and there was his little son on the tour bus with them. Soon after that album, and his son was playing a game with him where he was trying to tap out the beats of songs to his dad, Jeff Tweedy, and his dad had to guess which song it was. And I remember a really cute moment where he was tapping out the beat to Heavy Metal Drummer. And anyway, flash forward to me now having children of my own and still loving that album just as much as I ever have. Yeah. The song Heavy Metal Drummer became like a lullaby song that we would sing to our kids and still do when they need a song sung. Yeah, it just was one of those nights. It's like early on, you're exhausted, you're trying to do anything to get your kids to sleep, and then like through the fog in your mind, some of the most random stuff floats to the surface, and that song just floated to the surface one night, and I was able to sing the entire thing, and then they wanted me to sing it the next night. So started a tradition.
I like that. I like that tradition.
So let's get Mr. Tweedy on, and
we'll get Jeff Tweedy on.
Tell him my story.
Sing song for him.
Sing the horrible bastardized version that I do of the song.
We got anything else? Any other topics?
Oh,
Any
there
other
was one
people?
thing. Yes, there was one thing I wanted to say. I think we should congratulate friend of the show and previous guest, John Clausen, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but he and his writing partner, Mac Barnett, their story.
The Shapes.
Is being turned is already turned into a stop motion series on Apple TV called Shape Island.
And
How
I think
great
it
is
comes
that for
out.
them?
I believe it comes out the day this episode drops too, January 20th.
January 20th, Friday, January 20th. Well, how serendipitous is that?
I cannot wait to check that out. I messaged him, or I commented on something on his Instagram the other day just to say congratulations, because that's huge.
It's so huge, and it's just so well deserved. The
So
two of
well
them
deserved.
together, man. They just create such wonderful shit.
They do. They're both so talented, and the combo, you just can't beat it in terms of kids. Interesting, thought-provoking, beautifully illustrated kids' books. I'm so psyched to see it.
Yeah, same here. Congratulations, John.
Congratulations, John. We've thrown out a lot of names, a few really good topics. I'm feeling good. I feel like we've got some work to do now, some booking to do.
We do. We got to get to work.
Look, I mean, this is a non-traditional episode. We don't have to do a recurring thing, do we?
I don't know if we have to redo a recurring segment. I do have it. Did I just say that out loud?
Let's do it.
Should we do it? I also have kind of a funny story. It's not even really much of a story, but I just recently discovered that one of my children's has been stashing dirty socks down in the corner of one of our couches, like shoved way down. Didn't know they were there. I went walking by. The cushion was slightly leaning, and I saw a sock, and I pulled it, and then there was another one and another one and another. And they just kept coming. It's so many socks. It was like a vein, down in the earth. It just produced dirty socks. And
was it all very stinky?
It was pretty stinky, yeah. And we don't know who it was. I actually haven't really approached them about it yet. Just haven't found the time to do it yet. But
my younger daughter has a drawer in her nightstand that I discovered one day, like several months ago. I opened it up and it's full of old toilet paper rolls, like just the cardboard roll.
Okay.
I don't know if she finishes the roll of toilet paper in the bathroom and then takes it, or if she spots one in the trash in the bathroom and pulls it out. But she has devised this, I don't know if it's some kind of idea for a craft, or she pretends that they're something, but she's got this drawer now full of toilet paper rolls. It's similarly weird.
Yeah, that's really funny. Kids are weird.
Kids do the darndest things.
What the heck are they thinking? All right. All
right, but you have something to share, right? You're going to share a segment of one of our, I think it was actually our first recurring segment, right? And it's called
Did I Just Say That Out Loud?
All right, let's have it.
I'm going straight in with this one. You ready? Quote, "There's always a little bit of dookie on your bumhole after you poop."
I mean, the scenario is clearly he finished going, did a real quick wipe. It was clean, and he said, "I got nothing. I don't have to wipe."
Yeah, I'm out of here. No.
And you said, "Hold on."
I said, "Whoa, wait, hey there,
hold on a second, pal.
Slow down, cowboy."
You got to go in for a round two a little deeper this time.
Yeah, and there was some protesting, and there was, he was clearly annoyed. He thought I was just being mean or something by making him sit back down. But he was ready to just hop up, pull up, and
back
run,
to playing
and run. Yeah, he was going to skip a lot of the steps. And that
no
sentence,
flushing, no washing,
no washing,
straight back to trucks.
Yeah. Right back to giving everyone pink eye. And Yeah, no, and I just, it was one of those moments where I just started talking, and that was the sentence that came out, and it just, I heard myself right after I said it. I heard the sentence.
Were you like, Dookie?
Yeah.
Do I really call it that?
Yeah. Yeah, but it was like a couple things. It was like I don't think I ever say bumhole either. Yeah, there was a few things that just stuck out. It was Dookie. It was bumhole. It was like this sort of like matter of factness and kind of serious tone that I took. That was just like, oh man.
Do you ever say something like that and then you just say out loud to yourself softly, "Who says that?
Who says that? Talks like that." No.
Who says that?
I don't.
That was great. So he went very quickly. He went back and did a round 2. And did your theory prove out or what?
Yeah. No, I had to do the round 2 to prove it.
But you found something.
Yeah. There was still a little bit of evidence down there.
Which makes you wonder, right? Like, at daycare or school or whatever.
Yeah.
All day long, there's stuff in there.
Yeah. Well, there you go. This is a good note to end on.
Dads and moms listening, thank you first and foremost for giving us a shot here on Modern Dadhood. Again, please consider leaving us a quick rating and a review and subscribing wherever you listen. That might be Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Spotify. You can also get all the episodes right on our website at moderndadhood.com, where you can easily search for any topic or guest that we've had on the show. Mark and I would love if you would tell one friend about the show, please. Very easy thing to do, goes a long way, means a lot to us.
Oh, hey, when you're on our website, which is moderndadhood.com, you can do several super fun things. You can pick up a t-shirt or a dad hoodie for yourself or a loved one. You can drop us a line. The email address is right there. There's a form at the bottom of the site, actually. You can drop us a line, though, at hey@moderndadhood.com. Tell us what you appreciate and what you do not appreciate about the show. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook and the YouTube.
Thank you, as always, to Casper Baby Pants and to Spencer Albee for the music that you hear in Modern Dadhood. Major thanks to our friend Pete Morse at Red Vault Audio for taking these sound files that Mark and I create and making us sound fantastic. Check him out at redvaultaudio.com. No guest to thank this week. But you know what I will say,
all
Mark?
of our previous guests.
Thanks to all of our guests. Thanks to all of the people who say yes to being on our show in 2023. Thank you, Mark, for being on this journey with me. And you know what else? Thanks to the listener.
Thank you, listener. Love you.